The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Right then, well, this is still season 2 and it's episode 29.
Yeah.
God blimey, it feels more than that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we're still outside, the weather's still nice, so well, there you go. Right then, so hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast. And thanks for joining us. Isn't that nice that people are still listening?
It is, yeah.
That was nice, so what you said earlier. Anyway, we'll get on with this first. So, yes, it is season 2 and episode 29. I'm Elaine.
You are Elaine and I'm Julia.
I like the fact that you reinforce it in case I forget in between, Julia. How do people get in touch with us? Because she hasn't said that for a bit, Gareth. That's your speaking part.
It's my turn, is it? So if you've got any questions, you can get in touch via Facebook, Instagram and X at Potty Plotters. You can go onto TikTok at The Potty Plotters. You could email us, naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk, or check out the website, pottyplotters.uk.
And do you know what's funny? When we go out and do talks, Gareth, and people ask how to get in contact.
You've forgotten now, haven't you?
We forget. Every week we go through it with Gareth and we've still forgotten, and then we find out a little card that we've got it written on and hand it out
or a
to
little
people.
piece of paper.
Yeah.
We've got it written on a piece of paper.
Yeah, we're a bit
as well,
rubbish
aren't we?
at that. So
Isn't that funny that we've forget it.
It's a good job. We don't forget where we live, isn't it? Eh?
We forget how to get to places, don't we?
Yeah. Now you've titled this episode, "What do you do in your shed?"
Oh, can I have one more speaking part?
Go on then.
Go on.
Because we forgot to mention it in the last episode. But if people are enjoying this and they'd like to leave us a tip
I enjoyed the last one.
I did.
Yeah, it was funny.
If people would like to leave us a tip to keep going with squash, gin, because we need to top up the gin now.
Yeah.
Then they can go to kofi.com/thepottyplotters and leave us a tip. It's a bit like, when you go to a restaurant and you leave a tip for some really good service. This is a really good podcast.
Yeah.
So that's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. And if you leave us a tip, I'll give you a shout out and we'll love you forever. See, that tomato's coming in useful again. It's the most handled tomato that I've ever seen in my life, because we've all had a
very tactile.
We've all had a touch of it now.
Yes.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Anyway, Elaine, what do you get up to in your shed?
Well, the reason that I've included it, Julia, is because this year has been so haphazard weather-wise. Now, I've actually cleaned my shed out. My posh shed.
Yes, I
Thank
noticed.
you.
2 sheds.
Yeah.
I've got 3 actually.
Cricky-free sheds.
Yeah, you know how it is. But what I've done is I've got pots in one and then tools in another, and then we've got a sitting shed, and that's where we
That's a
sit.
sitting.
A sitting, yeah. So when we were cutting up footballs the other week, we sat in there and chopped them up, didn't we?
Yeah, we also drank tea and ate cream scones as well.
We blooming did. I'd forgotten about that.
So basically, that's a catering shed.
It is, yeah. And
Well, hang on a minute. Every shed is a catering shed.
Well, it is.
Because
You can
we've got
make
the
it,
summer
can't
house
you?
and Potty Plotters HQ, and we also eat a lot in there.
Yeah.
And drink a lot in there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the tea shed more than anything when the lads come and we have visitors in there. But what else do you get up to in there then?
Well, I think it's quite a nice place just to sit and think sometimes. Now, I don't do a lot of that very often.
You do.
Do you?
Yeah,
Well, I've been banned from ideas.
Exactly,
So
that's
It doesn't stop you coming up with
no,
it.
I have to
No.
say thinking instead
Yeah.
of ideas.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody should have their own little space. And I've
Yeah.
got some books in there. I look at them occasionally.
I've got books in mine, and I feel sorry actually for people who've got allotments on sites where they don't allow them to have sheds. I mean, I understand perhaps if it's quite an open site and there's issues with antisocial behaviour and all those kind of things. I mean, I hoofed some lads out of a shed once when I was secretary on another site, and they were as high as a kite on goodness knows what, and that was quite a shock to me, and also the person whose shed it was. So I
Was
can
it a shock to them as well?
Well, yeah, no, they were out of it in a whole different world as this mad woman told them off and told them for scaring the poor lady out of her wits.
Get off my plot.
Yeah, but I understand why some sites don't allow it, but we love our sheds, don't we? I mean, we now
it
know
makes
why.
a difference up here, Julia,
Oh,
doesn't it?
yeah.
So, the other day, another day, was when it was raining, then it stopped, the sun came out, so you're in and out the shed, and while you're in there, sometimes you do a little bit of twiddling, don't you? So I've got some stickers to put on jam jars where I put the flowers that I've been cutting. So I thought, I'll just do half a dozen of them. So I sat down and I did that. then, as I say, I did some sorting because my sister, our Janice,
Yeah.
she gives me all these blooming ties. Now, when I say ties, I don't mean those that go round your neck.
No.
It's little plastic ties.
Oh, yeah.
And she saves them for me, and they come in dead handy, actually. So I sorted a load of those out and backed a load of those up. So it's just nice sometimes just to have a little thinking space.
Yeah, I mean, I live a little bit further away from the allotments than you do, and so when I come down, I do like to come down for, a good few hours, so it is nice to have somewhere just to sit and contemplate, especially if the weather's not very nice. And, I'm at the moment, again, like you, I'm twiddling a little bit, but I've also been doing some seed saving. And so I've got some sweet peas that I've started to save. So I'm podding those as I'm going along. But it's just nice to have somewhere to sit and like you say, think, really, and enjoy the allotment. Because I think sometimes we don't enjoy it enough because we're always looking at jobs that need doing. And it's really a very... I understand now why men liked men in sheds.
I do get it.
Yeah.
I've actually been drying flowers. That's another thing I've been doing, I've been hanging them from the ceiling, so that I can dry them. But I do think it's important. And if anybody was starting a new allotment, it is something that I think we need. Now, I'm just going to go back to what we talked about last time, which was the importance of toilets.
Yes.
Now then,
wow.
There are times that you do need a loo. And what I did in my previous allotment, which was on a different site, I had a big shed, and what I did there was I put like a studded wall up. That sounds good, doesn't it? I know. A studded wall. I needed planning permission for a lot of things.
Change of use.
But I did it, and then I put a camper car seat the other side, and of course urine. Yeah, urine is really good though for the allotment. It breaks down the compost.
Oh, you're taking it, aren't you?
No, it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that's why I feel sorry for people who haven't got a shed, because lots of sites haven't got toilets. We're lucky. Again, the site applied for funding from the National Lottery. We've got 2 fantastic composting toilets on our site because we've not got any mains water. But if you've not got that and you've not got a shed, what happens if you you need to go?
You wet your pants.
And that's not very good, really, is it?
It's not.
On that bombshell.
But actually, it's counterproductive.
Can you put that?
That's not breaking news.
Right.
But it's counterproductive, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it
it
is.
means that people don't stay on site very long because they've always got to go to nip to the loo.
Yeah, because you can't
just find
have
a
so
pub
much to
nearby.
drink. There is that, Gareth.
I mean, that's
Nice
it. You need
link.
somewhere for your kettle or to put your drink and your sandwiches. Although, I have to say, Elaine, this last week I have been eating my way around the plot. I'm not bothered about washing the things that I'm eating off the plot because nature has done that. Most of the things have been well watered anyway, and probably the rainwater's safer than some of the tap water. Not getting political or anything.
Controversial.
But the other day, as I was kind of started off on the Monge 2, chomping my way through them, and then moved to the blackberries, then the blueberries, I thought, I feel quite full now. I'm quite satisfied. Don't need anything else.
They
Just
all
need the
sounded
toilet.
good. Yeah.
It's 3 v 5 a day.
So what I would say is, let us know what you get up to in your shed.
Yeah.
That would be
Share a
interesting,
picture of your
wouldn't
shed.
it?
Share your shed.
Share your shed.
Yeah.
Loving that,
Yeah.
Gareth.
Now, if you're having an affair in your shed,
No, we don't want
don't share that.
No, we don't want to be party to that one.
Oh,
Yeah, I
but
like
then
share
there's an
the shed.
opportunity there, isn't there?
What
Got quite
for?
a big shed.
Here, hold that tomato.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Right then, Gareth, you were just whinging about... Yeah, it was.
Whinging?
Off air when we were talking about tapes.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
wasn't whinging. I said that it's been quite successful. So you gave me the seed tape for the spinach.
Yeah.
And it was really successful because it obviously the way it spaces out the seeds means the plants aren't crowded and they're the right spacing apart when you use the seed tape. But I couldn't find anywhere to buy seed tapes from. So went to a well-known garden centre. They got none. Went to a slightly well-known discount store that has a garden centre attached. They got none. So I was just wondering, where do you actually get seed tapes from? Because I've never seen them in abundance, I suppose.
Well, the main ones that we've seen, that we've had from the garden centres, are Sutton Seeds. They do seed tapes. Now, if you can't get them in the garden centres, on their website you can get them quite easily. But a lot of the other seed suppliers are now starting to introduce them. And, well, we get ours from Lidl.
There's a place I'm going to visit.
It is.
I can get you some.
Yeah, we'll have a look for you.
But what I would say is they tend to be more available at the start of the season because obviously they're popular and they're much cheaper than the garden centres. So, they have a stand by the door, and on the front of the stand you will see the loose seeds, the ones that we normally buy. But on the back of the stand, then there are packs of seed tapes, seed discs, all kinds of things, and they're really reasonably priced. So if you won't go in Lidl, I will.
Yeah. We'll do that, but what I did do was just a couple of weeks ago is set beetroot seeds in tapes. And now I've actually not done it before. We've done carrots, we've done spinach, we've done all kinds of stuff.
Radish,
I did all them herbs, radish,
So I've kind of found that they've been really good because I'm quite hand-fisted, being the local thickie, as we refer to me as anyway. So especially for the seeds that are quite small, so I'm thinking like the salad seeds and the carrot seeds are quite tiny. It's very difficult to get them in to the right spacing, so the seed tapes have proved invaluable because I'm not wasting seed, and they're perfectly spaced apart, so I haven't actually got to really do anything with them. So especially like the spinach, plants have come up in abundance.
I think that's the main thing, actually, Gareth. It's not about being ham-fisted. It's not about whether or not you've got any dexterity problems. It's posh for me, wasn't it? I just quite simply, I think it cuts your work. You're a busy person. It cuts your work straight down because all that you're doing is literally measuring. Although, Julia, that has just come back to me yesterday. Yesterday, when we were at another open day, I was talking to two ladies about these seed tapes. I'd never heard of them before. And I was telling them it cuts your work down by more than half. But I did say even the seed tapes need to be set double the depth of the seed. And she said, that's where we've gone wrong. She said we've planted before and we've just piled the soil back on top. Well, that's not good.
No.
So even though you're just gently putting those seed tapes in and then just covering them up, literally covering them up, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I like it because for busy people, it literally is. Cut the tape, put it in and off you go.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd tell you about my successes of my beetroot because I know that last time Sue from Bramall was talking about what you can be setting at this time of year, and she wasn't. It was Mandy. It was Mandy, wasn't it? Mandy from Matlock.
Yeah.
Mandy from Matlock.
What can you be doing now?
Yeah, what you can be doing is getting some beetroot tape and setting more beetroot.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
Well, Elaine, it's fair to say that not only have we been busy on our allotment, we've also been busy helping Derby County, which, the two names really don't go together, Potty Plotters and Derby County.
I'm imagining you up front.
Yeah.
We're up front, all right, yeah.
You're in defence.
No, she's the goalkeeper. Look at the size of her hands. Nothing will get past her.
I mean,
but we have been working with Derby County Community Trust, which is kind of the charitable side of the club. And we thought we'd drag Luke on to do an interview with us because Luke has been the main lead on the project that we've been working.
Is that centre forward?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much
captain.
about one. Yeah.
Oh,
he's been
wearing the black armband.
Yeah.
Well, for lots of reasons.
Yeah. So anyway, we thought we'd drag him onto this podcast to explain to the listeners what it's been all about and what he's learnt in the process. Not to work with us. I think that's the word he said, wasn't it?
Yeah, so since last April, I think it was, where you sit in our summer house, and it was cold in April again. A lot's happened. We've got another plot, as we do. We took another plot up in Sinfin. We thought it was going okay, and then you two turned up in September of that year going, no, you've got a lot of work here to do. We had a vision. You kiboshed that vision, but it wasn't not in a bad way. But I think I mentioned before technology let us down. You have encouraged us to plan.
That's Julia dropping more technology on the floor.
What is going on today?
We've had a morning. Julia, just sit still.
I think for us, you've taught us the art of planning, because without planning, you haven't got your succession planting, you haven't got an actual vision. I think you've taught us again, what is your vision, what is it? I think I spoke about, if anyone was listening, about an allotment. Why have you got an allotment? What's your purpose? Are you just doing it for low maintenance to get away from things? Then do it low maintenance. Are you doing it to help the community? Then you need to have a purpose. Have we got a purpose yet? I'm going to be honest saying no. I think we have got visions in the background, we've got people accessing, but we haven't got a full-on purpose. And I think come the new year, if you interview us in a year's time, the purpose will be there. We'll have X amount of organisations, loads of participants, loads of volunteers, and there'll be an actual, they're coming here to do this. I think at the minute we just open the gates, and it's great because it serves the need, but I just don't think there's a full purpose.
So the end result is missing.
100%.
So at the moment, for instance, let's go over to, you've got the two sites, both within Derby City Centre area, and one of them is full on flowers and fruit. The other one is all products, I would say, that are natural to the allotment that people associate with.
Vegetables and fruit.
And tons of it. It's fair to say we have hit productivity. What's been the difficulty then with when you say too much? A lot of people will be sitting back saying, how can you have too much?
I think some people are listening going, you can never have too much, but literally we have had too much and things have gone rotten, things have gone to waste, and you think of what we're trying to achieve of grow your own is, I don't think we've achieved that to what we thought we were going to do. I think we've probably used 45% of the produce, which we've chucked 55%, but it's not gone to where we need to. So it's gone in my belly, it's gone in other people's, and you're thinking it's great, but the purpose was to give it out to families in need, local organisations, food banks, because we spoke about food banks. If the people know how to grow their own, does that stop the food banks? I'm not saying we're trying to do that, but there's a lot less
But the
stress.
difference is that you've got fresh produce,
100%,
haven't you?
100%.
And when you're giving people a bundle of fresh produce, they've got to work in how they're going to use that, whether that be through the food bank or whether it be direct to people, what they're going to do with it. And that's very similar, actually, Lou, to us growing up here, in that, you know, ye oldie traditional rows and rows of runner beans, what are you going to do with them all? It's only when there's 2 or 3 of you in the family and you think, not beans again. So yes, you can put them into the freezer, but the best way to do it is actually succession planting and 100%. Working with that instead.
And I think the thing, possibly what you're saying, is that I suppose that the method of getting the produce to the people who need it hasn't actually been set up properly yet, because you've got the stuff, it's ready, and how do you get it from A to B without it spoiling? Because as we know, if you leave it a couple of extra days, it's either going to overgrow or it's going to bolt, or, you know, it goes past its best, and you don't want that. You want to pass it on to people at its best. So
that's a prime example. I think you've hit the nail on the head, is that we've had stuff ready to go, but people go, I'll come pick it up in 3 days time. It's done by then. So
which you can do in a supermarket, but not on the allotment.
Not an allotment, so it's got to go. And I think you're right, is that we've got the produce, it's just we've got the A, but we've not got the B. And when we get to B, where's the C? And that's the issue at the minute. And it's not a problem, it's just we've got to get that solution sorted pretty quickly.
Because when you came to us earlier in the year, we helped you plan the plot, and it was about, we want maximum productivity, which is where we think it probably is at. But actually now, looking at planning for next year, it's about what can we use the vegetables for? So are we going to do it for a community meal in a certain month, and therefore do we need to target growing everything just for that meal? Or is it actually going to go out to members of the community, in which case, you know, it's hard to kind of balance both and make sure that you've got enough produce really for both things.
And we've just spoke about it this morning about flowers, not flipping onto flowers, but it's all right saying yes to everybody. You two just sat me down going, right, stop saying yes, because there'll be nothing there. So it's got to be planned, and if it isn't planned, it ain't happening. And that's the thing. And we want to go, come on, look at it. We had that amazing open day yesterday at Sinfin, and everybody utilised it. We've got, I think, a group on Wednesday. That's a bit of a plug, but we've got that group on Wednesday. But come then, the flowers will be done on there, so we've got to relax a little bit, let things grow back. And I think our excitement, we now need to be more thinking ahead. Excitement's great, but if you open the gates and nothing there, you're letting people down, and that's not what we want to do.
I think you've got the basic infrastructure infrastructure. I can't talk. Get someone else's teeth in
Can't
this
do
morning.
a lot, really, can you, today?
No, not really. But yeah, everything.
I wasn't going to say what you did first thing this morning.
Oh gosh.
But I am.
Go on,
because what she actually did was she decided that she was going to pump the water out of the well, which is fine, but what she didn't do was connect the hose pipe to the pump itself. So it all came out and covered her. Yeah. Anyway, that's how we've sort of progressed this morning.
I did say to you it was a bad day, really. Once it starts like that, in fact, you ought to do this interview. Carry on.
No, I quite liked it, actually. And Luke just talks, doesn't he, which is lovely. But the great thing is that you can now see the difference, not only in the produce that you've got on the plots, but actually you can see the difference in the staff because you are more confident. And I know that a year last April, you wouldn't have said anything.
No. If we had the open day last summer on Synfin, I would have had you two next to me going, right. And yesterday, I know Julia kept using the word, very good blag. That was a very good blag, young man. And I'm thinking, in my head, I was thinking, yeah, but you've got that basic knowledge, you then can put your enthusiasm into a conversation. And then once you then understand what the person wants who you're talking to, it then all...
Is that a bit like when you go to Germany and you just come out with that same old sentence and everybody thinks you can talk German?
Well, is that because I watched that? What's actually Elaine going, can you just translate this for me because I don't understand what the caretaker said to me? And you're like, say this to him. So I said it was like, how do you know that? It's exactly like that. You pick up the lines. But it's funny, but I think we are still who we are, Derby County Community Trust, and I don't think we'll ever change. But I think what's been really nice is we've had to embrace different ways of working which have gone outside our comfort zones. You two have had to come into our world, which at times has sent you crackers, absolutely crackers. I think we laughed earlier on about watering, and never knew watering could give me sleepless nights. It's not watered enough, it's overwatered. What do we do? How do you water from the bottom? Not all those sort of things. And I think anybody who wants an allotment, we've gone a bit crazy and gone a massive site at Little Chester and a massive site at Synfin. So it's kind of how we now know we've got these two big sites, and we now know what our capabilities are. We now know who to lean on and organisations to go to. And before we didn't have that. We just had this thought. And you two came in and went, your thought's great, but you need to think more, you need to plan, and that purpose, that planning purpose, once you've got that on any allotment, whether it's private or organisational, you're flying. You absolutely, I cannot shout home enough, planning and a purpose, that's all you need.
I'm just going to interrupt the interview, just in case people haven't listened to the first series and don't quite understand why Derby County Community Trust are involved in an allotment. So the allotment came about during lockdown, didn't it, Luke? And basically it is to provide a space for people to go and enjoy in a green space where people can learn to grow vegetables but also flowers now and enjoy that environment. But it takes the responsibility of having your own allotment away, but you can still enjoy the benefits of it. But what we didn't really understand until we started working with you was how many groups you actually work with, how many different people, because what has football really got to do with allotments?
So our adult health department, that's a tongue twister on a Sunday, adult health department, we work with over 900 people a week with long-term conditions, pre and post cancer, dementia, mental health. So 4 years ago, football had nothing to do with allotments, but now we've got to bring nature and being outside at nature, because there's green social prescribing, because instead of being given medication, they're telling people to go on walks, get outside in the sun, so prime time today. So we kind of were 4 years ahead of ourselves to go, right, how can we take the pressure off our local NHS? So we're not saying we're ever going to achieve that, because I don't want to put that out, because that's something we can't do. But if we can have an impact on probably 10% of our city, that'll have a massive financial impact on our local authority, which that means then the city then you see it all connects, and that's where listeners might go, why does the trust, the club, NHS, we've all got something in common where we want to get rid of the backlog. We can't get rid of long-term disease because we're not miracle workers, but what we can do in the middle is, can we take away the medication side of things? Can we be the medication? Can we be the script? Go, instead of going, have all these tablets a week, go to Derby County Community Trust. Got an allotment, they've got this, they've got that. So that's why we took it on. And it was a little hobby during lockdown because I could get out 4 hours a week, and it was. And then it turned into a hobby, into a massive programme, and that's where we are now.
But a massive, successful programme.
Do you think other football clubs will follow your lead?
They're trying to, and I keep saying to them, just know what you're doing first. A lot of them getting them outside the stadiums. I won't mention, it's a local club, said they're going to do one outside the stadium. I drove past it today, and it's just a pile of rubble. They didn't have a full purpose, so they couldn't get behind it. So that was just a fad. So it's got to fit the trust ethos and the local authorities ethos. If not, it won't work.
And on that happy note, how do people get in touch with you to find out how to turn that piece of rubble into your productive allotment?
So you go on our Community Trust website, you'll see my beautiful face on there with all my contact details. Instagram, we're trying to change our marketing. Obviously, you guys use taggers on there, and obviously my own social media as well. If people are listening, they want to message me on Instagram or whatever, nicely, nothing nasty. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation, and 9 times out of 10 I'll bring them down here for a cup of tea.
And one thing that you haven't learnt yet is that Julia is really good with melons. Now, she's given you a melon, and the first thing that you said you were going to do was take it home and
wash it.
It's a bit like a banana. You don't wash them neither.
You're not eating the skin.
Yeah, I'm not eating the skin.
Tell you what, I thought that he'd learnt such a lot until now. Thanks, Luke.
Sorry, thank you.
To drop him down a class, won't we?
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
I thought that would be a nice link to do's and don'ts on the plot,
Do's
Julia.
and don'ts?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you were whinging, weren't you, a bit ago, about people taking their squashes too early.
Oh, yes, I was.
Right, well, what's that all about?
Well, the starters on our
you took
side.
a breath then, didn't you?
The
Like,
starters on
where
because
do I
they never
go?
consulted me about it.
Oh, I say.
No.
How
They just
dare
went.
they?
They normally come to me with questions before that if they're a bit unsure about anything.
Yeah.
But one of the ladies, she actually posted a photograph. And it was after the event, so she'd actually cut one of her crown princes off the vine.
Right, and the crown prince is what? Yeah, you'll get right done, won't you?
So the crown prince is a squash. It's a winter squash, so it's still in growth, really. So
and they go blue, don't they? They are beautiful.
They're absolutely, and they are brilliant. If you like squash plants, if you like butternut squash, it's a very similar taste to that. And they grow. This is the main growth period. They are growing, and they can get quite big and substantial in size. But what she's
got a family of 4.
More than a family of 4, and she's actually chopped it off, and it's still.
What?
Yeah, she's chopped
Even
it off.
I know that.
Yeah, so she's chopped it off, and it's still in growth. And actually, we wouldn't be harvesting it till about September time.
She'll never get a knife in it though, Julia.
No,
because at this time of year, the skins on those are so hard.
But also, Elaine, the flesh won't be ripe. It won't be ready.
No, there won't be anything inside.
So it won't be anything to taste to it. It won't have developed the full flavour. So that is a don't. Don't be cutting your squashes before they are ready, because while some things like the onion squash, you'll notice they'll change colour on the outside and they'll go like a bright orange, and they are ready to harvest. You need to understand when is the right time to do it. And I'm not being authoritarian about it.
Oh, go on.
She is.
No, I'm not.
Actually.
No, I'm not. But they normally ask me, and she chopped it off, and I was like, you can't stick it back on again.
Get her a
now.
hanky. This is not good, is it?
So,
really? Did you take it to heart?
Yeah, so
that's bad.
Yeah, please don't do that. But I thought you meant do's and don'ts on the plot, as in make sure you read the rules of your site before you do anything.
Well, that's a nice link, Julia. We can talk about that as well. Honestly, I thought this was my bit, but anyway, yeah, go on then.
I thought that's what you were referring to, Elaine, because, again, working on 2 very different sites with Derby County Community Trust, everything that we've been asked questions all along the way, can we do this, should we do that? And we're constantly saying, well, what do the rules of the association say about it? We want to refer people back to the rules of the association, because whilst there are some fairly standardised rules across allotments, allotment sites themselves are able to develop their own rules, and if you're in breach of them, you could well end up being kicked off your plot.
Yeah, and that's through ignorance, isn't it? Because our tenancy agreement is that you have to have read the rules before you can sign the tenancy agreement, which sounds, it's common sense.
Yeah.
But then common sense doesn't always prevail, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then people kind of cry afterwards and say, well,
I didn't know.
I didn't know, but you've signed a tenancy agreement. Yeah. You've signed a legal document to say that you are going to follow the rules. And whilst a lot of people don't like to follow rules, if we didn't have rules on site, there'd be anarchy. I mean, if there was no rules, anybody could wander on our plots and just take what they want. So there's got to be some form of rule, hasn't there?
And it's the same with buildings. Yeah. You know what some people are like? They love building, but they don't want to dig.
No.
Strange old world. And then other people just don't know how to dig.
Yeah.
But they take on an allotment. And as we've said before, allotmenting is a peculiarity in that it's the only leisure industry I can think of where people are left to their own devices. If you go swimming, generally it's your own common sense, but don't go swimming unless you can swim. But if you go to the gym, heaven forbid. But there will be rules about things that you do at the gym, surely.
Yeah.
And then it goes on, doesn't it? If you're going to be part of a group, they'll tell you what to do and how to do it and when to do it.
Yeah.
Allotment, they give you the key and say, thanks very much, get on with it.
Yeah.
And then moan when you don't do it.
But they do give you generally a set of rules that you've got to follow. So as well as learning how to grow and how to look after your plants, there are general rules that you've got to follow. So, I'm not going to have a rave party on my plot.
Aren't you? Where the hell did that come from? A rave party? At your age?
A rave party?
I don't know what one is.
A rave party?
Well, I'm not going to have one of them on my plot.
No, because you don't know what one is.
To be fair, we were nearly interrupted by Tom Jones the other week. That's about as close to a rave as what we've all got in the last few years, really, isn't it?
So, but I'm not going to have that because I'm not allowed to disturb my neighbours and the allotment. And I'm also, there are certain things that you have to follow. And when people come to our site and they'll say, they don't know about the rules, and then they end up being thrown off, and people do end up being thrown off, and then they go, oh well, I didn't know about this, that and the other, or I didn't know it was going to be so strict. Well, yes, our site is strict because so that people follow the rules, because if you've got weeds on your plot, you're going to then transfer them over to mine because they're going to blow in the air. So generally people take a plot on our site because they actually like the fact that rules are enforced. But what we always say to people is you don't have to take a plot on our site. There are 29 other sites within the city where we are, and each of them will work in different ways. The people who kind of govern those sites will apply things in different ways. So, don't feel like you've got to go to a certain site. Have a look round them, because actually they've all got a very different feel and they've all got very different rules. Well,
I know one that's over the other side of the city. You're not allowed a greenhouse, you're not allowed a shed. Now, when you take that allotment on, you know that.
Yeah.
So don't start and put one up because you can't.
No.
So go to one that does allow it. Bonfires, they are a nightmare. So tread carefully where they're all involved, because...
We had to go and tell someone off, didn't we?
Yeah, it was last week.
It was when we were doing the greenhouse. We had to go and tell someone off on site because they'd set themselves a bonfire. Now, on our site, we've got neighbouring properties the other side, and we're not allowed to have a bonfire between the end of March and the beginning of October, and that's quite reasonable, I think, Elaine, because people want to have their windows and doors open.
But you want to put your washing out, don't you? Last thing you want is a blooming bonfire.
And the thing is, somebody had set a bonfire. Now, not only was it against the rules, but also neighbouring properties will then phone the association and complain, and then we'll end up with a fine from the local council. So, there's a reason for rules generally as to why they've been applied on site. So, when it says do's and don'ts, there's usually a good reason.
So don't blame the committee. Have a look at your rules first. And what I would say is, if it is at this time of year that you're taking on a new plot, don't be in a hurry to start and grow. No. My advice, and I hope yours would be, Julia,
preparation.
Get it all in order, dig it, sort it, get rid of all the rubbish, get up to your local tip, use your brown bin, black bin, green bin, whatever it might be, and actually plan what you're going to do, ready to hit the ground running in the spring next year.
Yeah, I mean, preparation is key.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you, Julia, about was cardboard, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know cardboard is It's a nothingness, isn't it?
Well,
we take it for granted all the time.
Well,
I bet blue bins, before you even get a word in, I bet blue bins up and down this country are full of cardboard.
Well, I mean, if you think of that well-known supplier that actually took off probably even more in COVID times, people just having stuff delivered to their house all the time, in the biggest of boxes you've ever seen for the smallest of items. I mean, it'd be fair to say, and in our house, there is one box delivered every day. I can't stop him. I can't stop my husband.
Is it sandwiches? What do you have?
My husband.
What do you have?
That Amazon stuff. Amazon stuff. I'm like, what is it now? No, it's never for me. Never for me.
That's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyway, there's cardboard all the time at our house.
Is that why you did no dig? Get rid of all the cardboard?
Well, it was one way of getting rid of all the cardboard. But yeah, so much is delivered in cardboard. And as long as it's not got any of the kind of printing on it, of that glossy, shiny stuff, you can use it on the plot, you know, Elaine.
Well, the reason that I've introduced this one is because the other day I was talking to these two women who looked at the plot and they saw that I'd got mulch down on the paths, etc. Wood mulch, that is.
Yeah.
And they were a bit amazed and said, "Oh, what have you got underneath this?" Sort of quite a disparaging way.
Oh,
yeah. And I thought, you don't even know what I've got before you start. Now, bearing in mind that donkeys years ago, people used to bring carpet.
Oh gosh.
There was blooming carpet all over every plot.
Nightmare
and every plot
on
in the night,
allotments,
sort of, I would say in the 1960s, 70s. Everybody brought carpet down, and that's what they used. Now,
a home from home.
Oh, honestly, Gareth.
I'll never forget when I was on
blimey.
the other site and I was secretary, there was this plot and it had been in the hands of somebody who worked in the carpet business. And I'll tell you what, every time weeds came up, they threw more carpet on. It must have been a good 12 inches deep in carpet. How they actually
grew.
That's
a deep pile. Get me.
Yeah, it is a deep pile. How they grew anything, but it was a nightmare to get rid of. And, you know, now we know that it's not good to use on an allotment, and a lot of sites have banned it.
Well,
and rightly
it's
so.
in our rules, going back to do's and don'ts.
Absolutely.
You can't bring carpet up here.
No.
But isn't that amazing that now we've reverted and we've gone to cardboard?
We love cardboard.
And I think it's very relevant that we've gone to no dig and cardboard in the years that we're here, that in years to come people won't be digging any of it up because it all disintegrates. So why do we use cardboard in the way that we do that?
Well, cardboard is brilliant. It's a great weed suppressant. Like I say, you don't want to be putting it down if it's got any printing or glossy on it. You also want to be removing any sellotape that might be attached to it. You want to be removing any staples. But then you can use it as a weed suppressant. So you'll see these black rolls of black weed suppressant that you can buy in the garden centres, Costco, all those kind of places, and you put them down, and yes, they'll do a great job of smothering the weeds, but eventually you might come to dig that area up, and then you've got a right tangled mess of all this old fabric that really, I don't know, it's still there, isn't it? It's still there. I don't know what it's been doing. Whereas the cardboard, it will naturally decompose.
So you can move if you were putting it under your paths and you decided to change your allotment round. You literally can.
Yeah, so what I did with my no dig, I dug out most of the perennial weeds, some that you can't get to, put layers and layers of cardboard down, crossing over on top of one another, and then I put the mulch on top to create paths and the compost where the mulch wasn't. And it's been brilliant, and it's a really, well, it's free, isn't it? Cardboard is free. You know, you go to any bike shops, you go to any kind of places where they sell white goods, everything comes in cardboard, and it's free, and it's a brilliant weed suppressant. And that's what you've done underneath your paths, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I've done it under the beds as well. The new beds that I put in earlier this year, which was sort of bordering from last year, I had some frames because I'd done some arches, new arches this year, and all I've done is I've layered that. And of course, when we went to Derby County Community Trust, we layered that all over there, and it's worked a treat, hasn't it?
It does.
Keep your cardboard and then put it in your shed until you're ready to use it.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say about moving things around, because I'm thinking of changing a bit of the no dig side, and now all I've got to do is just kind of move the paths, because I don't need to worry about the fact that there's cardboard under there because it's not there anymore, probably. It's all disappeared.
So, if in doubt and you've got an allotment, start to gather all of your cardboard. And it will save bonfires, it will save landfill.
Yeah.
Although probably, didn't put it in landfill, or does it just decompose?
No, they go back to recycling places, don't they?
Oh, do they?
Normally?
Well, we'll use it instead.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, thanks to everybody for listening, and next time we'll be doing more about flowers, and there's a reason for that.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll carry on talking about planning for 2025 because it's really important that we do plan ahead.
Yeah.
And of course, the kids are all on holiday.
Yeah, and of course it always goes back to that, next year. Well, next year, we're already planning for next year.
It's the most used phrase, isn't it? But this year, we'll think about things that we can do with children, keep them busy during that summer holiday.
Give them a spade. Give them a hoe.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.